Hello, I'm Philip Duncan from Weatherwatch TV on YouTube, an IBM business partner. Thank you for joining us as we track Cyclone Jasper as it makes landfall, we think tomorrow, Wednesday, in Queensland, somewhere around Cairns, Port Douglas area. Here is the latest satellite imagery and the Bureau of Meteorology tracking and intensity. Dropped back to Category 1 yesterday, slightly unfavourable conditions, sea temperatures not quite as warm, high pressure to the south. But that's easing a wee bit as it tracks a little bit further northwest again. And by the time you're watching this video, it may be back to a Category 2. It's expected to do that later today, Tuesday, and across Wednesday as it comes in and makes landfall somewhere around Cairns or maybe just slightly to the north of it. Here is where it was situated at 7 o'clock this morning, Queensland time. You can see serious storm offshore brushing the coastline, and the coastline's kind of got the same shape. So it's running almost parallel to many places. And that's part of the reason why those big strong winds yesterday near Mackay out towards the Whitsundays and Hamilton Island, they may ease back a little bit today, and Townsville also on the edges of it, but you can certainly see Innisfail, Cairns, directly in the firing line of the worst of the winds as they start to build up. So this is the rest of this morning, taking you through till about lunchtime today. Worst of the winds here in the darker green shading, but anywhere with the pale green is getting you into that sort of damaging territory. You can see how it very much hugs the coastline there, and the middle part of it just tracking slightly north of this faint line. So it's still tracking a little bit more northwards at the moment as it heads in more towards populated places. Wave heights. A lot of people talking about the rainfall that we were talking about yesterday in the video, saying that's just a normal day in Queensland. We easily get 300 or 400 millimetres in a day or two, and fair enough. However, you're missing one key point, the wave heights. Basically, we're seeing here in the green area, this is just for the next day or two, that storm coming through, and where that green area is right there, it limits the amount of water that can come out of the rivers. So it adds right where the centre of the storm is, a storm surge of about 0.5 metre to 1 metre above your normal high tide mark. And then on top of that, the wind keeps blowing and blowing for days in the same direction. It can pile more water into the harbours and to estuaries and coastal areas. So when you get that heavy rainfall that you're well used to, it can't drain away like it normally would. And that's the reason why there's so much attention about where the very center of the storm goes. So that's why the green area matters, because where it is that dark green spot in this zone here, that's where that heavy rain will struggle potentially to drain away. Whereas further south of that or north of that, probably no problems at all. It's just your normal heavy rain, as many of you have pointed out. So this is the zone here with the dark blue. That's getting up to 500 millimetres of rain. This is for the next 5 days ahead. If it was spread over 5 days, that wouldn't even be a news story. But most of that will be falling over the next 36 hours or so, or maybe 48 hours in that one zone. And remember the big waves, the big seas coming through. So let's take a look at where it's going to make landfall. Here we are, 4 o'clock later on this afternoon, all times Queensland time. This is both the AccessG Australian model and the GFS American model, and they've got positioning in the exact same spot. This also includes 24 hours of rain. So the dark blue up here, that's 300 millimetres of rain falling in a day. The pale blue, just a few showers, nothing too serious. As we move through to Wednesday, landfall time potentially 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when the Australian model has it coming in there just north of Port Douglas. The GFS American model, a little bit further south. Why does that matter so much? Well, like I just said, where the center of that storm is, where it's circling there or here, that's where you get that dome of storm surge that can block up some of the estuaries and rivers and normal places where it would drain. But there's another key point, the wind direction spinning clockwise. So if it's up here further to the north, that drives in a big northeasterly wind into places like Cairns, and that could be a problem. Cairns Harbour, getting that nor'easter feeding straight in for a day or two, helping lift the water levels up. But if it's the American model, more of an east to southeasterly flow coming into Cairns, and you've got hills out that way which can help protect you a wee bit. So really the precise tracking, it does matter. But as far as the general rain is concerned, these rainfall totals further south, I'm imagining most of you are probably fairly happy with them. You do need the rain at the moment. So the concern, I think, is mostly from Innisfail to Cooktown, pretty much what we said the other day, although the other day we were talking more about Townsville. So now it's getting a little more locked in to this area here. And I think Port Douglas to Cairns, the areas that are most exposed to having a direct hit from this storm. And we go through to Thursday morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. This is where it's expected to be inland now. Other models here are all pretty much in agreement, but the rain, it carries on from Cooktown to Cairns, still getting some very heavy rain. But, you know, as many of you have pointed out, this could be good news for further places further to the south, getting some of the leftovers from it. Maybe a little too far north for some of you, though, to get that relief that you really want. So there we go. Keep an eye on the Bureau of Meteorology. As we say, they are the official source for warnings in Australia and in Queensland. We'll be tracking this now. I'm not sure if we've got a video tomorrow or not, because by the time we record it and get it published, it may have already basically moved in. So we'll decide that tomorrow. So we may not have a video tomorrow. If we don't, we'll include it in our normal New Zealand update, and we'll just put a piece on there about it. But we'll be tracking this in the days ahead. Darwin, looking at you. Maybe could be something forming there later towards Christmas time. There are different models saying different things. One shows a storm heading off towards Broome. So we might get fewer complaints from Western Australia that we never talk about you. But we don't talk about you because it's usually sunny and dry. And the other model I saw this morning shows the storm going here, turning around and coming back into northern Queensland in 10 days time, 15 days time. So a lot of question marks remain about where this will go. But for now, all eyes are on Cooktown to Cairns to Tully as Tropical Cyclone Jasper finally starts to move in. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the comments as well. Read every single one of them. Really do appreciate them. And we look forward to updating you again soon as we track this storm.